Go.
All right. All right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Superintendent Daly, your agenda changes?
Yes, under 5A, this is going to be moved to September 27th. That's right. Yes, 5A. And then there are changes in personnel. And under consent, we added E, F, and G.
E, F, and G. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to board president comments. I just wanted to welcome everybody, and I think it's great that we're getting back in the groove. And we had a wonderful finance and facility meeting last night, a lot of pent-up demand. And just wanted to say welcome and moving on. Points of interest. Do you have any points of interest this evening? Yes, Ms. Coffey.
It's just exciting to see all the kids getting started in their activities. A lot of the sports have started. You know, on our end in our family, we have modified sports, so it's a very exciting world here for us. It's just really nice to see everybody involved and back doing things they love.
Thank you very much. Other points of interest? Hearing none, we're moving on to meeting of reports of meetings. Mr. Moscato.
We had our first legislative committee meeting for Monroe County School Board Association. Excuse me. And we started to prioritize some of our agenda items with our state representatives and federal reps. Some of them I think are pretty obvious, but there was a lot of concern about the mandate for electric buses, cost, purchases, feasibility, you know, everything else. There was some interest in pursuing again to continue the free lunch and breakfast for our students, you know, issues around that. And of course, there's still issues around staffing all over the place, whether it's getting teachers, non-certified staff, bus drivers, doesn't make any difference. The state of New York needs to start taking a hard look at how it handles certifications for all staff, quite honestly. It's not the same. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe, we had a plethora of people applying for teaching jobs. Well, now we don't. So the mindset's got to change. Now, some of this is with the Board of Regents, we know, so we have to approach them. And at times, they can be a little dense, I think. So we're starting to do that. So if you have any issues, legislative issues, you want me to take to the committee, let me know. We meet again in October. We're trying to decide about visits to our state reps and federal reps. It turns out one of the holdovers from COVID has been the comfort level of using Zoom rather than face-to-face. So we tend to actually get the representatives a little bit better from that. But I enjoy the face-to-face. I think sometimes it's the case where they can be a little more honest about it. When it's just 6 or 7 people in the room rather than a whole set of people on Zoom. But so we're looking at that, and again, we're not quite sure how well open Albany is. So we may or may not be going, on trips there. We always used to go in December to meet with the staff, talk about the proposed budget, and then meet in March when they were allegedly closer to getting to the budget. So if you have anything on the legislative level that you're interested in, let me know. We'll take it to the committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moscato. Any other reports of meetings? Hearing none, we're moving on. Visitor comments. We have none this evening. Moving on to reports. Student Support Services Report.
Good evening, President Potensky, Vice President Moscato, Superintendent Daly, members of the Board of Education. Thank you for the opportunity to have us present this evening about the great things that are occurring throughout the Student Support Services Department. We appreciate it. So tonight we are going to begin with a staff spotlight of Sarah Robinson and her role as the District Transition Specialist. We're going to discuss our continuum of services and the growing continuum of services that we have. We're going to highlight 2 summer programs that were run and led by Danielle Latore and Angelina Pound, and we are going to end with a reminder about Septo that's going to be provided by Julie Stark. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Robinson, who's going to get us started talking about transition services.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Sarah Robinson. I'm the transition specialist for the district. I've been in this role, so this is my 10th year as a transition specialist at Gates Shiloh. I moved into the role after being a special education teacher at the high school. And over the time that I've been in the role, it's developed, it's changed. I would like to say that it's improved and I'm serving more students, and I just kind of wanted to highlight some of that for you. So when I began this role, I was primarily serving 12th graders. It is mandated by the state and federal government that we provide students with disabilities transition plans so that when they exit, they have a plan for post-secondary training, employment, and independent living when appropriate. So as I was saying, when I began my role, I was primarily working with 12th graders. I was developing an individualized transition plan based on their interests, strengths, and values, and making sure that they knew about different pathways that were available for them, and we were, planning what made sense for them. So for some students, that's going to college, and I'm helping them access student supports at college. I'm helping them access accommodations. For some students, that's investigating vocational programs. For other students, it is getting into the workforce and possibly even accessing supported employment or job coaches in the workforce. And so part of what I do is I, link with agencies such as the state agency Access VR, and over time, they have expanded their services also. So as they expanded their services, I started to realize that there were opportunities to work with students younger than 12th grade. So we really began the career planning and the transition planning for 11th graders, 9th graders, and 10th graders. In those ages, I've been referring more to Access VR. I've been getting students paid internships, students with disabilities that might not be able to go into an interview, get an interview, do a job application themselves. So we've linked many students over the past 5-6 years with those paid internships through community agencies. I've also gone into self-contained classrooms where we're looking at how we go out in the community, how we, travel in the community and navigate it safely, how we use appropriate social skills, how we advocate for ourselves. I've been doing that in the 1211 room, helping those teachers develop that program, and then also in our communication and social skills program with our students with autism. And that's been very successful. I've also worked to use our BOCES resources more. So making sure that when we're sending students with disabilities to WMOCO, that they're going to the most appropriate placement, that they're going to have the support that they need at WMOCO so that they can be successful, and also using services such as work-based learning through BOCES, and making sure that students know those opportunities are out there, and we've had success with that also, with getting students into workplaces. Excuse me. And as that's gone, I go into all the self-contained programs. I get to know the kids when they're in 9th and 10th grade, so that by 12th grade, we really have a strong relationship and we can develop a strong plan. And I would like to say that's been very successful. And then about 2019, 2020, Mr. DeJong came to me and we started to discuss the fact that some of our students with more significant disabilities, that transition planning and those services for families, it would be great if they could access those younger. And so that's when we expanded the role in that fun 2020-2021 school year. I moved from being a building transition specialist for our high school students to a district transition specialist. And so in the last couple years, I found more demand than I honestly expected with our students with developmental disabilities in the elementary and middle schools, and families that I've been able to link with OPWDD services, Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, to get families services not only in their school district, but to make sure that we're partnering with those services and that the families are able to access those services outside of the school day. And I would say that's been successful. And, you know, through it all, my goal is really just, again, individualized transition plans for every student based on their values, what their families want for them, based on their own self-determination. And I really just appreciate the ability to like do this every day because it's my passion. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our continuum of services and the fact that our continuum continues to grow. With your ongoing support, our continuum of services does continue to grow and evolve throughout the district every single year. We are committed and focused, we know, on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that the origin of that work, which is spread to the entire district, really did start in this department. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are core beliefs of the department, and we work tirelessly partnering with families and with staff to remove barriers and to ensure that students with disabilities are provided with the tools that they need to achieve both their short-term and long-term goals. And I know that I say this every single time that I present to you, but I truly believe that our students most often, with some notable exceptions, are best serviced within our own district, educated by our own staff. With that being said, it's with much gratitude to all of you for all the support that you've given as our continuum has continued to grow. Of note, on the continuum up here is a new 611 classroom that we have at the middle school this year, and 2 811 classrooms that we have at Neil Armstrong Elementary School for the 2022-2023 school year. A cohort of students that we were able to bring back to our district in 2018-2019 when we created our then newly created 611 classroom at the elementary school has transitioned up to the middle school. So we've seen their progression as they've gone up, which required us to create that 611 classroom at the middle school level. So that's a great thing. We also created 2 811 classrooms. Again, going back to that notion that we can service our students best when we have them here in our own district. And so we are able to provide services to students that we didn't before because we have extended and expanded our continuum and now have an 811 program at the elementary level. So all of these classes are off to a fantastic start. They're doing great, and I thank you very much for your continued support with all of that. The next portion of this, I would like to talk about reviewing at least a portion of what we do as a department by the numbers. And the first one is the number of Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education meetings that were held last school year. We held 1,420 meetings during the last school year. They were chaired by Julie, by Danielle, by myself, and with much gratitude to the many psychologists at the building level who chaired subcommittee meetings. You can see the type of meetings that we held on the right-hand side. Of note with all of this is, or something that I want to point out, is the manifestation determination team meetings, which are a result of either long-term suspensions or in-school suspensions and out-of-school suspensions of 10 non-consecutive days that we need to meet to discuss if the behavior that a student is exhibiting is a manifestation of their disability. The number of 96 is high. We're hoping for that to decrease for this upcoming school year, but it does signify our continued need to work on our disproportionate outcomes as the year goes on. Currently, we have 420 students within the district with disabilities that we are servicing. You can see on the right-hand side where the students currently are provided services along our continuum that I was just discussing, and we continue to monitor our progresses to make sure that we're providing students the most quality education possible in the least restrictive environment. About 80% of our students are provided with special education services within the district, and 20% of our students are provided with services in an outside placement. And this is due often to the fact that they require a highly specialized program, which we cannot provide adequately within our district. You can see on the right the agencies that we partner with to provide services to our school-age students. The majority of the students recommended for a placement outside of the district, which constitutes about 60%, are referred to our partners at Monroe to Orleans BOCES. Our department, under the leadership of Danielle Latore, also facilitates services for students who are placed by their parent or guardian in one of our private or parochial schools within the district's border. Currently, these 97 students come from 15 different school districts, including our own, and we partner with Monroe to Orleans BOCES to provide the majority of the special education or related services at these schools. And Danielle ensures that we maintain a strong partnership with these schools as we're providing services to these students that attend. Section 504. So we currently have 133 students who receive accommodations via Section 504 plans, school counselors at the secondary level, and currently psychologists at the elementary level act as case managers for these students and oversee the implementation of Section 504 plans. Angelina Pound acts as our point person on our team regarding overall 504 compliance, so that we ensure that the accommodations for these students are being adequately and appropriately implemented on a daily basis. With that, I'm now going to ask Tabitha Woody come up, our new coordinator of student support services. She's going to discuss some statistics around the Committee on Preschool Special Education and Homeschooling. Great question. So an integrated co-taught classroom is a classroom that we have that has one general education teacher and one special education teacher in it full-time.
The number 96 of the
Mm-hmm. Yep.
you said it was high. Is there termination why you think the number's high? Is it COVID related? Is it other related? I know you said it's
Yep. So I think that part of that is the adjustment of students coming back last school year and, them adjusting to being back in school. And so that's why we're hoping that this school year we'll see a different result. Unfortunately, the state will look at that number and they don't take, COVID into consideration when they look at our disproportionality rates. Any other questions before I turn it over?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Tabitha Woody, and I'm the coordinator for CPSC, Committee on Preschool Education. Currently, we have 89 students that we are servicing. However, day by day, week by week, we get additional numbers. This is my ninth week on the job, so as my days of employment are growing, so are the children. So currently with 89 children, we are working with different related service providers, agencies to do the evaluations. We have certainly been met with open arms. We have agencies that are ready to really service our children and our families. And that's great because the time that we're living in across the county, it's very hard to find related service providers, speech, OT, PT. So oftentimes when we get one door closed, at least two more open. So very optimistic that we're going to be able to continue to meet the needs of our students as well as our families. We're working with CAFL and Bright Start, just to name a couple of them, but all of the agencies have certainly been available to assist our children. Homeschool is a little bit different. Homeschool, the number, as you can see now, is at 229. Parents are slowly bringing their children back into the school system. There's some hesitancy, but to bridge that, we're trying to continue what Danielle Latour started, which is building those relationships with parents, because when you homeschool your children, more or less parents often comment that they feel isolated. And because it is their choice, we also want them to feel like there is somewhat of a partnership. So we've allowed ourselves to open up to them to answer any questions that we can, walking that fine line and letting them know that the lines of communication are always open and that the door is always open for any questions. However, we do follow the guidelines, and we just want to, more than anything for this year going forward, is to build those connections, because those connections is what lasts and will help parents really make the decision to bring their kids back into the schools.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I am going to talk about our extended school year program. So this is the second year in a row that we have had our own extended school year program. Last year, our partners at BOCES weren't able to provide programming for our students. This year, we found ourselves in the same boat, but we took it as an opportunity. We were able to provide 6 weeks of programming. It was half day, so our students came in from 9 to 12 o'clock. And we were able to program for our students that are in our 611 program and our 1211 program. It was really great to see that not only were the students preventing that regression that we tend to see when they're out of school for so long, we were able to provide the related services. Adam Mattice, our autism consultant, joined us and was supporting students and staff. And it was a really nice combination of staff members. We had staff that were interested in working the program from all of our buildings, even though we were working with the elementary students. We also were able to partner with the University of North Carolina. They have been working with us this year on a program called Building Bridges. And it is a program that focuses on ELA achievement for our students that have the most significant needs, cognitive delays, also students who have some significant communication delays, and many of them are using communication devices. So this was really great to see our students continue engaging in that program, and just the response from the team at UNC and how they're responding to our teachers. So we focused on Summer Pond. That was the theme. We had some fun visitors, some little reptiles, a couple of animals that joined our ESY program. So all in all, it was really a great opportunity for the students and for our staff.
Good evening, everyone. I won't
evening.
try to move that this time. I'm going to leave it where it is. I'm going to talk a little bit about our summer enrichment program. We held a summer enrichment program for the first time this past summer. In the spring, we received the ARP Homeless Children and Youth Grant for students in temporary housing, or McKinney-Vento. So we decided at that time we would provide some summer enrichment for our McKinney-Vento students. We had about 12 students in grades 2 through 12 who participated in our program, and we held it on Tuesdays and Thursdays after our summer program from 12 to 2 p.m. So we decided we would provide enrichment in the form of science. We went to the planetarium, art. The kids painted rocks, and then we incorporated some social emotional learning. They painted rocks with positive messages, and we hid them at Highland Park. I think the highlight of our summer program was that the students got to swim in our beautiful pool in our natatorium, which they absolutely loved. Lunch was provided every day, and the students had the opportunity to also sample food from different cultures, which was really a really neat experience. So I think it was a really successful program, and I know our students enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Finally, we wanted to share with you a little bit of information about our special education parent-teacher organization, otherwise known as SEPTO. This year marks the start of the 4th year of SEPTO. And SEPTO's mission really is, as you can see, to work collaboratively with home, school, and the larger community to provide education, support, and connections for students with different abilities. Mrs. Robinson has had a chance to work with our SEPTO organization as well over these past couple of years to broaden those opportunities for community connections. Parent and guardian participation is always welcome and encouraged. In fact, those numbers that Mr. DeJong shared with our families with students with disabilities, our annual review mailings that do go home, we do incorporate information about SEPTO into each of those mailings that go home to try to continue to encourage that participation. We also recognize and really appreciate that some of you have had an opportunity to attend an event or two, and we would certainly welcome any continued participation or attendance that you may be able to if you find that you are available to do so. You can check us out at gateschild.org/SEPTO for upcoming events that have been planned so far for this year. We really do want to send out a special thanks to Kelly Conlon and Heather Lang. They have been absolutely instrumental these past 4 years in collaborating with the district to provide this opportunity for our families. Thank you. And at this point, I'll turn it back over to Mr. DeJong.
So thank you very much for your time this evening, and I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have for me or for the team. Okay.
The homeschool numbers, is that, you said they're slowly coming back, how is the number trending from last year?
I'm gonna take this one because I've had homeschooling for a while. I don't want to put Tabitha on the spot in week 9. So those numbers, we historically were around 110 to 120. We really saw the biggest jump after COVID, the 2021 school year. They're starting to come down, but it did ebb and flow quite a bit last year with the pandemic, any kind of new variants, so it did change. The hope is that more people are going to start sending the students back to school. So we're seeing a little bit of that, but Tabitha's going to be monitoring.
It's not really a question, but I really appreciate the transition services work going to students of younger ages as well. Having previously been a Medicaid service coordinator back when it was called Medicaid Service Coordination, one of the links that we really struggled with was that connection for our high schoolers and middle schoolers, connecting that home and school. So it's really nice to see that our district's very proactive in that, because there is such a big world outside of school, and it's really hard for families to make those connections on their own.
Yeah, it's been a powerful difference that Sarah's been able to make by going into the elementary schools and middle school as well.
Other questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Chung. Well done. Moving on to Monroe County School Board Association. Welcome, Mrs. Thomas. That's you.
That's me. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again this evening. I feel like I've been here. It feels a little bit like home all of a sudden, so maybe I need to come here every month. I'm not going to take much of your time. I know you have really important things to discuss at your table tonight, but I'm very glad to be here. I was glad to meet all of you and work with you about a month ago now on your board retreat. That is something that we do at Monroe County School Boards, but that's really my focus tonight and other nights that I'm visiting all other school districts. We do represent 21 districts in the regional area through Monroe County School Boards. And for those of you who can't attend some of our standing committee meetings, I'm here just to say we're here. We're here to provide support, resources, and anything that you need. What we want to do and what my goal is to provide you, the leaders of your district, whatever you need to best serve your students. So however we can do that, in my capacity as the executive director of Monroe County School Boards, that's what I'm here for. I'm really excited about my work, and since everyone was talking about how much time they've been, it's my 105th day today. I just did the calculation on so it's my 105th day,
I am enjoying the work. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about every board. Every board looks different. Our collective diversity is what gives us strength. And one thing that we've learned out of the pandemic is collective strength. How do we work together? How do we work best together? And I think out of that, through our survey that we conducted this summer, we learned a couple of things. One was we had to do something about our live streaming of our information exchange and labor relations committee meetings. So we have, I believe, perfected it. Knock on wood, we'll test it out tomorrow. But we do have a new Zoom format, and we've invested in 2 high-tech microphones that the presenters will be using. So for those of you who cannot join our meetings, try to join them Zoom during your lunch hours. I think that it will be well worth your while. The second thing, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, was we heard predominantly that the association membership wants to work together more. We want to have more networking opportunities. We will have more real-time networking opportunities for the entire board to attend. We'll have 2, we're going to try it out this year to have 2 social hours for board membership to attend. But really the website is something we're excited about. The website it's taken a lot of time and effort to get our website up and running. There's a wealth of information on that website. We plan to use that as our hub of communication amongst school boards. I will be posting, I have my own executive director blog. We have a board president's blog. We have a ton of information that we're going to be putting on that website. If you have any trouble accessing the website, feel free to reach out to us. We have all of the secured login information if you need that at the drop of a hat. But please go into the website, access it. If you have questions, if you have comments, we're looking for feedback this year. We'll be sending out in December another survey just to get kind of a pulse point from our new membership, because we do recognize that we have new board members across the board. So look for that. But again, I'm your resource. Feel free to reach out whenever you have a question, comment, concern. I'm here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Zeke.
Thank you. Moving on to discussion items. Draft board goals and norms. That is you.
Okay. At your place, there should have been a document with the draft. No change to the goals from last meeting. We did change a little bit on the norms and our practices, if you will. So what I would appreciate is if the board members could read these over, let me know if anything needs to be changed on either the goals or the norms. I think we'd like to make this an action item at the next meeting. Okay. Anybody have any questions right now? Nope. Okay, thank you, please. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moscato. Moving on to the NISBA resolutions 2022.
And that's me again.
Yes.
I did send out, I think, an email summary of all the resolutions where I sort of sucked it all out into a little table so you can look at it. But the booklet is here. Excuse me. The same issue in terms of reviewing it. What I will do for the next meeting, I will have gone through them all again and thought about them, and I'll offer you my opinion about different ones from there. And then we will have an Area 1 Zoom meeting on October 1st, I think it is. So that's where we'll do some more discussion, hopefully with districts from without the area. So please look it over, either to the booklet, or if you want me to, like, if you didn't get my original email, I can resend it to you. So it's a little table and you can print it out or whatever. I think it's as an Excel file. So, but just look it over, let me know if anything piques your interest or you want more information about it. At the Area 2 meeting, it's the best place for us to get some more information. We have somebody there from the Resolutions Committee. We usually have somebody there from NISBA as well. So, we can ask them very, well, why were they doing, what were they trying to do? Sometimes resolutions are not quite clear. You don't know the intent, don't know the background, so before you can make a decision about it, you may want to know what was in the mind of the board that proposed it more than anything else. So, again, let me know my next board meeting if anything particular, then I'll bring it up at the area 2 meeting. Anybody have any questions now? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to consensus items. Motion to approve the consensus agenda. A motion, please. Mr. Long and Ms. Kais, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to motion to approve consensus items C through K. Motion, please. Mr. Bailey and Mr. Long, questions or comments?
I have just a question.
Yes.
How long does it take the donation process to get to us? I bet you that would be real quick.
If we get it up to the day of, we can get
Any other questions? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Yep, so moving on to action items, transportation appeal of student A. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, having heard an appeal from student A, determination made by the Transportation Department designated as appeal number 1, and following due deliberation, we hereby uphold the determination of the Transportation Department. All in favor? Motion. Ms. Dr. Richards and Mr. Bailey, questions or comments? All in favor? The motion is unanimous. The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Well, I didn't want to be left out. This is my 1,170th day as superintendent. That's what I was doing, yes. So,
Check out my days as a board.
there we go. Our opening day for students was outstanding. The media coverage was extremely positive, starting with a fun 6 a.m. interview out in front of the high school. And then rocking in as the buses came in, smiling faces, staff excited, new principals greeting their students. We were able to get into each of the schools with our leadership team, and the tremendous preparation and attention to detail was evident. It was great to hear, see, and experience this excitement of our faculty and staff, and our administration had to be back with our Spartans. You see lots of smiling faces. The high school, not as many, because gotta look cool, but it was just great to see kids coming off the bus and hugging their principals when they just met them. Just excited to be here. Mr. Hamill did not experience that as much as, say, Dr. Zanowski, but we'll see. Excited for next week with homecoming and our Hall of Fame. Our Hall of Fame, the ceremony will be prior to our football game at 6:30 next Friday night in Spartan Stadium. They'll spend the day in the district meeting with our students and classes, which will culminate with the ceremony at 6:30. Board members can choose to be on the field for the ceremony. Just let me know, and we'll make sure that you can be out there for it. Or if you'd like to hear their speeches, they'll be at 9:30 in the morning in the PAC, where they'll be sharing with their students their experience of being Spartans and how their lives have evolved. There was a move not to have the dinner this year, which was a question earlier, but they will be at the allowed to buy any concessions that they'd like, supporting our Booster Club. And again, homecoming is the week of the 19th to 24th. Each of you have at your place a flyer of the events and what they're dressing up as. So the kids are excited, staff are excited to get it done, and they've sent it out to all the elementary schools so they can participate as well. Just another reason why Gates Charlie is a special place. I received an update on one of our January graduates from last year this week. Our teachers, staff, and administration stuck by this young man and helped him to finish. This is another story about a kid who, with our help, managed to get it done and graduate. It wasn't always easy, but it was certainly worth it in the end. His mother shared with us that, to quote her, "I'm ecstatic. David Rodriguez's mom just called to give me an update on his progress. He graduates from Navy basic training on October 14th in Chicago. He says it is easy, and the hardest part is missing everyone. He scored so well on the entrance testing that they gave him $30,000 extra for committing and are enrolling him into the nuclear submarine technology program. She was extremely thankful for our efforts and kept saying his success was because of the work with and belief in him by our high school staff. It's just another way of going above and beyond for our kids, never giving up on them and pushing them, and he's another success story. We recently had it at our board meeting, our summer graduates. They're each success stories in their family, and they're going to make a difference out there, and it was because of the belief of the high school and our community that they're able to get there. Talked about having a team of one with Spencerport. Dr. Irving has pursued helping out Spencerport with this. They're in the process of finalizing paperwork to request a team of one for gymnastics. So by our district accepting the proposal, the Spencerport student would attend all practices and competitions, and Gates Charlie would not incur any cost, and the student would score independently for Spencerport and not impact our team or individual scores. Spencerport would provide insurance for students' participation. It's another way that we can keep a great sport alive, helping another kid participate, and also help push our kids. It's one more kid in practice that they can learn from and work with. So test kits. We received over 3,000 more test kits for COVID that we'll be giving out at the Meet the Teacher and Open House nights across the district that we received from New York State. Parents can pick them up when they attend those. But yeah, they keep sending us test kits, and we'll keep giving them out for families to have at no cost. We received a notice from the Gates Charlie Chamber of Commerce that Melina Joyf was informed this week that by the board of directors of the Gates Charlie Chamber of Commerce that she's been selected as this year's recipient of the Chamber's Youth Leadership Award. The award is given to recognize a youth group or individual 21 years or younger who has provided leadership in a community service project to others and served as a role model among their peers. The board applauds these youth leaders for their example set and their enormous contribution to our community, and she'll be lauded at a ceremony in October where Principal Hamill will be presenting her the award. We are blessed to have the opportunity, especially since someone's here from this organization, the electric busing presentation to the Monterey County School Boards Association. Dr. Ball, Mr. Hamill, and I will be presenting at the November 16th Labor Relations on our so far successful electric busing experience and how we got it going and implemented them. And then one of the fun weeks of the year for the kids at the elementary, they enjoy it, especially if they have a lot of Red Ribbon Week, will be October 26th to 29th. And last but not least, I'd like to thank our faculty, staff, and administration for a successful start to the school year. You walk through our buildings and our kids are having a blast. Our teachers are engaging, and all our support staff are there to help make, in whatever role it is, a great year for our kids. Each of them have made it great for our Spartans, and I'm looking forward to next week with our homecoming to celebrate everything. And it's just a tremendous thank you to all our team and the board that have put together a great start for our community. And I would be remiss if I did not thank Ms. Parado and her team in human resources for somehow managing to find even more people. We were hiring someone this afternoon as we're continuing to try and fill our roster with more great leaders to help our kids. And again, if you know any friends, if you know any enemies that are looking for jobs, we have openings, please go to our website. We will interview you. We may not hire you, but we will interview. So that is my report, sir.
Thank you very much.
Chris, one question. How big is how big is the gymnastics team? You know?
We have, so it's a merged team with Brighton already.
All right,
We have
okay.
13 students on it
Oh, good.
now, so this will be-
Yeah. Right. Good, thank you.
Thank you very
Right,
much.
there's 13.
Thank you.
The answer is 13.
All right. On the 13th?
Motion to adjourn. Mr. Long, Dr. Richards, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.